everybody. Want to welcome you to the Radio Arizona RV podcast. This is Eric Stark, your host. I haven't done a podcast in a while. I got busy this winter. I did a radio show in Yuma for a few months, and that was kind of a nice experience, talking about RV parts, maintenance, education, kind of what I'm doing here. But to the Yuma area and did it every Thursday morning. It was a nice, very nice experience. Had guests on and so forth. A nice learning experience. So I'm back at it now, and this is kind of at the push of a customer, Randy from Arkansas. He had some questions, and he, brought up the podcast, and, basically asked me why I'm not doing it, haven't done it in a while, or if I'm going to get back to it. So it got me a little motivated. I've just been extremely busy with other things, but I thought I'd come back at this. I have started this, and it is a project that I do enjoy doing. It's nice to talk to people about their RVs and how they can do things better, improve upon it, and do it themselves. Or at least if you can't do it yourself, you can go into a dealership or the RV repair center a little more educated so you can get what you want, and the dealership can serve you the best they can because they have a complete understanding of what you're trying to do or what you're looking for. So that ties in with the show today pretty well, because Randy's question was about slide out awning, brand new slide out awnings. I was going to say slide out awning fabrics, but it's not just the fabrics, it's a complete awning. He bought a new fifth wheel, and he wants to put 3 slide outs on it. They're all, or 2 of them are similar in size, but one's smaller. And he questioned the price from one of the large retailers. I'll just say the name, Camping World. And Camping World's price, according to Randy, was about $2,500 for all 3 of them installed. And I don't know what brand that was, but I'm going to go on the A&E. I like A&Es, and I'm just going to kind of work around the deluxe without the metal weather shield. The metal weather shield is always more, and maybe that's what Camping World quoted them on. I'm not sure. But first off, let's just look at what you want. Before you go to the RV store, the dealership, who's ever going to install your slide out awnings, you can do some measurements. Or if you're going to call them, whatever it is, you're probably not going to bring the RV to them until you get a pretty locked-in price to make sure you want to do it. So the first thing you want to do is measure the flange-to-flange measurement on the slide out itself. So that's the width of the slide out room, including the flange, which goes all the way around it. Then they're going to determine which awning is going to fit on it. And if the flange measurement is 156 inches, the awning that's going to fit on it will actually be larger. So there's a variable there. So don't just go and say, I want 156 awning, because that won't work. It's actually going to be a different size. Tell them your flange to flange measurement is 156 inches. The depth of the slide out probably doesn't matter, because all slide out awnings are made with the same depth, the same amount of fabric on them. And I've talked about that in the replacement fabric podcasts I've done in the past. So don't worry about the depth, just the flange to flange measurement. And of course, if the trailer or motorhome already has awning rail on it above the slide out room, that'll save some time and labor for the installation. But if it doesn't, they'll need to know that. So these are little things that can change the price quite a bit, because putting on the awning rail takes a little bit of time. So that could turn into, $200 or $300 in labor, depending on how many of these you're having put on. And also whether they're going to fit properly or not. You can't just call up the service center or go in and tell them, this is what I have, this is what I want. They're going to need to make sure there's enough clearance for the slide out awnings to fit above the slide out room, so they fit properly, have an angle to the fabric so the rain runs off it when it does rain, and just make sure they can install it, without any hitches, without any hiccups or problems. And there are some that I've personally installed that have been very close, just barely make it, and that's fine as long as it can be done, and done without doing anything that's crazy that would void the warranty or cause problems down the road. So you could take some pictures and you could email them to them or go in and show them the pictures, and they might say, hey, no problem, or they might have a question. If you have a roof with a slope on it that's angling down, and the angle gets narrower and narrower or smaller and smaller towards the rear of a slide out, on fifth wheels that's kind of common, and there might not be enough room for the awning rail and the awning itself to fit on that one slide out. But in most cases they do work on newer RVs, well, even older ones. It's just you do it more often on newer ones. So you want to go in armed, and not to battle, just to be able to explain what you're looking for. And so they understand, because, you know, when they give you a price, they're trusting that the knowledge or the information you gave them is correct. And so then you might not know the slide out the slide out awning that you want. If you want an A&E with a metal weather shield, an A&E without a metal weather shield, you know, if you want a Carefree, and so there's variables there. Now we prefer the A&Es with or without the metal weather shield. The Carefrees are not my cup of tea. They are a good awning though. They're just not my favorite. I like the A&Es better. I think it's easier to get parts for them. Although Carefree is great, calling them up, they're very helpful. Wonderful company to deal with. So for me, it's just a personal preference. I like A&E. Some people like Carefree. So whichever you choose is what you choose. You know, you're not going to, you know, it's what will look best on your RV, what you feel is going to be best for your RV, and the comfort level of the installer as well, making sure you're comfortable with how they're going to install it. So now, you base this decision on price, quality, the installation, and the warranty. Now, Carefree and A&E both have similar warranties, and they're good warranties, and both of them stand behind it, no problem. Sometimes it's an issue for the dealer or the installer to have to deal with warranty problems because they always don't get paid what they want to get paid for labor and so forth, which is understandable. They install it and there's a problem. But generally, 99% of the time, the installer or the service center will just take care of it. Sometimes they might have to wait for a part because they don't have that particular one in stock. Sometimes these awnings come right out of the box with a bad torsion assembly, a weak torsion assembly, or maybe something's broken or the fabric's scuffed up or has a pinhole. And these things are sometimes they're just unavoidable. That's what happens. And we just have to work with it and work with the dealership or the service center to help them get through it so they're not frustrated. So anyways, the price, you know, you can shop the price, but you always want to make sure you're comparing apples to apples. If you call up a Camping World store and they're selling A&E and you want to compare them to someone else, then you have to make sure of which model A&E awnings they're talking about. And there's two sets of different hardware, you know, a standard and a tall. So the price doesn't change much there. It's mostly just the awning itself, the roller tube with the torsion assemblies and the fabric. And that's that's where the price will change depending on the flange to flange measurement. So if you call Camping World and they give you a price of $2,500 and you think that's kind of high, and then you call your local repair center or service center and they can do it for $2,000, well, that's a $500 difference. Now, I would be suspect of that. Can they really do it for $500 less? Are they leaving something out? Are they not including sales tax? Or, you know, what is it? Why can they do it so much cheaper? You want to ask that because maybe it's a different awning. Maybe you got quoted at Camping World for A&E 9,000 with the metal weather shield, and now they're quoting you for an 8,500 or deluxe without the metal weather shield. So you want to be sure it's apples to apples, and that's where if you have all your information, even if you get the, you know, the awning length, you know, the part number for it, you know, this is what I got quoted on. I want to see if you can meet or beat the price. You know, what's the difference? And now I'm going to tell you this. If you come to Yuma, and that's where I'm at, I'm in Yuma, Arizona, things are a lot cheaper here. It's not like most markets, like if you go into Phoenix or LA, San Diego, Chicago, wherever. It's a lot more competitive here. You have a dense population of RVers here during the wintertime, and you have a lot of RV people, guys, installers, mobile guys, parts and accessory stores, dealerships, all fighting for the same piece of pie. And so things get very competitive. You know, it's price cut. I mean, all the prices get cut. Price slash. Everything's on sale all winter long. And quite often those prices don't change during the summertime because you're not all that busy, so it doesn't even matter. But now if you came to me and if I looked at what Randy sent me, and we could definitely do all three of his slide out awnings for under $2,000. And that seems pretty crazy. He got quoted $2,500. Now I don't know what he got quoted $2,500 on, but we can do them for under $2,000. Now, why is that? Because of what I just said, how competitive this market is. In the wintertime, all bets are off. You have to get it while you can. And the labor rates, the service calls, they go away. The labor rates here are much cheaper than most markets anyways because of the competition. And the way I do things when I'm myself or my guys are out doing installations, it's all day. We're not just, nitpicking at this, a couple here, a couple there. So when they're out in the parks, we waive the service call because they're already out there. We get things done. And we don't charge labor rates based on slow employees. We charge what's fair. And I'm not saying Camping World's not fair or anybody else. I mean, Camping World for years had the $5 installations, and most of their installations were pretty good. There were some that weren't. We won't even get into that because it's, a moot point. You go to Camping World, you have expectations. You go to your local RV service center, you have expectations. Whether they're high or low, it's depending on you, how much you're spending, how much you're saving. So you have the variables. So, and I just was thinking about this. Randy got, as I said, got me motivated, got me back behind the microphone. And it's not as straightforward as you think. You just call someone up, hey, I want prices on this. Even, a patio awning or a refrigerator, you have to have measurements. You have to have information for them to work with. And if you're going to compare prices, make sure you're doing it fairly. Make sure you're doing it not only to be fair to who you're calling, but to yourself, to make sure you're giving them the right information. Don't think for a moment, if you dumb down the information and they quote you a lower price, then you show up to have it done and you tell them something different when you get there and now the price has gone up, that they're just going to look the other way. No, they're going to raise the price. They're going to say, hey, you told me this on the phone and now you're here and saying something different. So that's so important, apples to apples. And I know I'm kind of blunt about this, direct about it, but when people call me, I want to give them the right information, the right prices. I don't want to be underpriced. I don't want to be overpriced. I want to be right where we are. So when they make their decision and they come in and say, let's do this, and they want to pull the trigger, then we're on the same page. And when the job is done, it's the same dollar amount. There's no question about it. What I quoted you in the beginning is what you pay in the end, as long as we have the right information. You bring the RV to us, we look at it, and then it's on us. If we measure wrong, call it wrong, then it's on us. But being armed and going into it with some preparation can make a big difference. Now, Randy had some other questions, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do another episode. I don't like doing these real long. I think everybody knows that. I like to keep them short. This one's actually kind of long for what I normally do. And, well, actually, it's about right on time. I'm trying to look at the timer here. But anyway, I like to keep them short and sweet, not beat around the bush for 25 minutes, 30 minutes talking about the same thing, which at this point, that's now what I'm doing, right? Babbling on. So what I'm going to do is come back, and this is Eric with Radio Arizona RV, and you can check us out on the internet at radioarizonarv.com. And by the way, our site is secure. If you type in https://www.radioarizonarv.com, it is secure, and I bring that up because a customer or a listener questioned it, and even without the S, there's not much on our website that needs to be secure because we're not selling anything. But nonetheless, if you put the S in the address bar, it shows up as being secure. So, again, this is Eric with Radio Arizona RV. This is episode number 28. So we'll be coming back at the next episode and talking a little bit more about Randy from Arkansas and some other questions he had about his new fifth wheel trailer and getting back into the RV lifestyle. So thank you for listening.